And now at this stage, once I already figured out all these parts in here, now I know exactly what my footprint is going to be. So now I'm finally able to start designing the main base of the controller that will hold all the pieces together and provide the rigidity of this controller that I like so much. Switching back to this other model that I have a video about, you see it's the model without the analog joystick in here, and it has fewer keys per finger. So this is the part that I'm talking about, this base over here. I really like this part because it does a lot. Provides ergonomic flexibility for the fingers, so it allows that adjustability. It provides functionality of non-slip or non-skid base, because that's where TPU pads go. So this is the pads that I printed TPU, and I also added this pattern for improved grip with the surface that it's on. Of course, it holds everything together and provides the rigidity of the controller, as I mentioned. So these pieces in here, I tried to make them look good. At least to me, they look good, but that's not a coincidence that they are here. They add extra thickness to this portion and make the whole assembly a lot less susceptible to bending over here. And these pads, they are also positioned in, so to speak, strategic places, because in my previous designs with older controllers, I noticed that when under load, this part turned into a little bit of a spring and had a little bit of a flex. So that's why I have these 3 support points that hold the main weight. And then these smaller finger pads add resistance when you press keys, no matter how hard you press them. I did explore an option where there was one continuous pad over here, but this was a purely aesthetics choice. I really like this individual fingers because if you squint, you can actually see like a palm of a hand over here. So I really like it. So basically what I need to do with the new design is to take these same principles, take the new outline, and recreate this with the new controller. And this shape can look really sophisticated at first glance, but frankly, there is nothing crazy about it. The way I go about it is I copy these lines and then I extend them where I need them to be extended, and I just clean them up. So if I break it up into smaller, more manageable pieces, I just work each line independently at a time and make necessary changes. So maybe I don't need this line, and I probably should have extended this one instead. It's all right. That's an easy fix. Again, just work in one line at a time. This curvature works great. Everything here works great. In here, this is just a design choice. I don't think I need this complexity in here, so I'll just get rid of all of these and just extend them until they intersect. Like so. This curvature works great. So in here, I'm gonna join these 2 lines and add the same radius. I believe this is 16 millimeters in diameter, so it's radius 8. So I don't even need to guess these values. I can just go ahead and add 8 millimeters radius here. This little bit over here, I don't think I need it, so I can probably get rid of this as well. Probably all the way through here. So I'm not really sure where exactly I want these to connect. I can not overthink it and just do this for now and then adjust it when I'm fitting this to the actual controller. But yeah, that's pretty much where we are. Right now, it looks like something is not connected somewhere properly, because I just get the outline, but it doesn't fill up. When you have all your lines on one plane, it fill out the area inside. So you can manipulate it, extrude it like this. So I need to figure out why. I start with scaling everything to 0 in z-axis. Oh, there we go. So you see some of the lines were not perfectly flat. But now when I have everything perfectly flat, I can just extend it as much as I need. I think 3 millimeters should be fine. And yeah, frankly, this is pretty much it. This is the base for the controller. Now I can start fitting it and figuring out what needs to be changed. So for example, you see in here, of course I could leave it like this, but I think I prefer when it matches. So this is one design decision that I'm making right now. In here, the same thing. I could match it with this part or with this part. I think I'm gonna choose matching it with this plane. I think in my previous design, what I really liked is a little bit of ridge. So like this. Oh yeah, and I need to decide what I want to do here. So obviously this is not great. Let's see if we can move this edge closer to something that looks 45 degrees. Yeah, that looks about right. I would very much like this distance to be close to this distance, even if it's not identical. So let's move it a little bit. Yeah, looks pretty good. Yeah, let's add 3 millimeters here. 3 millimeters here. So you see now it's already taken shape. I could probably add a little bit of bevel here. Let's see what's reasonable. And again, this is purely an aesthetics choice. It does help a little bit with printing. Ideally, when you can, as I heard, with FDM printers, you want to try and avoid sharp corners where you can. Curves tend to print a little bit nicer and smoother. Even adding a subtle bevel like so makes a difference when you print. And then I think I used a 45 degrees chamfer in here. That's pretty much my base. I still need to add like all the pads and reinforcement. And what I really like about it is that I like printing this part and these pieces in contrasting colors. So these shrouds, they actually add a lot to the design, in my opinion. So if I hide a couple of these components and switch into the render mode, I'll show you what I mean. So you see. And by the way, this is the design that I'm considering. This part and this will be black. The screws, I'm planning to use black as well. This one is going to be black, and the base will be printed in black. From there, just methodically work through all the remaining pieces of the base. So you see I'm adding these parts, and I intentionally pre-cut it so I can move it a little bit and make sure that the screws have the place to move. The way I decide how far these goes is, of course, based on how far these fingers can move. So basically I move it as far as I can until it intersects the body of the controller over here using the section analysis view. So you see right now it's like it's gotten, yeah, it's pretty much touching it in here. So this is perfect. And then when I have it positioned, that's how I know where the hole is going to be. For this one, it's going to be exactly here. And I already did it for every single finger. So I basically determined the range of motion, how far it can physically move to the body of the controller, and how far I think it's reasonable to go this way. And just like the thumb, if over time I discover that it's not enough and I wanted to go even further, it is very easy to take this portion of the base and extend it a little bit with all the structural components. And by the way, this design of each rail over here, it's not an aesthetics choice. It's also meant to reinforce the part where there's a lot of compression on the plastic, tension on the bolts. So I had a chance to print out a lot of test versions and make sure that it works really well and nothing is loose and nothing squeaks as I use it. At this point, I'm working on these pads. Well, these are not really pads. These are actually places where the pads will go. So it's like cutouts for the pads. And I really need to be careful to make sure that all the pads end up on the same flat surface. Otherwise, it would defeat the purpose. But the way I do them is I basically outline the shape that I want for my pads. And here's the example. So I already figured that this is where I want it to be. And from here, it's just a matter of extruding them. Let's see, I want it to be 2 millimeters out. So I extruded 2 millimeters. And then I'm adding this 2 millimeter chamfer. Then I select the inner piece where the actual pad will go. I offset it 1 millimeter in my case. And then I extrude this bit 1 millimeter deep. So the reason why I do it this way, the reason why I add this 1 millimeter is because it's actually much easier to glue the actual pads in. So I don't have to worry about the alignment. I made them slightly undersized. So if I duplicate this and add thickness to this sheet, let's say it's 2 millimeter thick pad. So I would move it inside there like so. Accidentally displaced it, but that's okay. There we go. So if this is my pad, obviously right now I don't have any tolerances in here, so it won't fit, even if I try to force it. So what I can do is I can undersize it a little bit, add some tolerances, and it really depends on your 3D printer. 0.15 or minus 0.2 millimeter should be plenty because it gives you almost half a millimeter of wiggle room. That should be plenty. But yeah, this is pretty much my my TPU pad. I fit it in, and the only thing that is missing at this point is just that pattern that I showed you earlier that I will be adding in here. But yeah, this is pretty much the technique that I use across all these. And from here, I think my next steps will be tidying it up, making sure that I didn't miss anything, maybe make some small design tweaks if I see fit. Like, for example, I still haven't decided if I'm going to keep it like this or make something a little bit more interesting here. I'll play around with that. Of course, I still need to make appropriate cutouts and tolerances for all these pieces and make a second version of this with the cutout for the light. I do want to have two versions, just what you see here and one with the cutout. I think at this point I'll wrap it up and show you more progress when I have something to share. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.